There we go. So I'm sitting here with my daughter. We both just put a video out.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. I've been
Let us
out
know.
dealing with social services since I was an infant with my mom and with my children, who, as you can see, this is my child. You look close.
No. Over here.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to let her tell you some stuff, and I'm going to tell you some stuff. But first, I'm going to tell you. They told my sister when she was younger that my mother didn't want her and trapped her in social services. They told my children, six of them, excuse me, because the third one they couldn't get to because she passed away. They told her that I was strung out on crack. If you believe that, that's okay. But I promise you, if you go on my Facebook page, anybody you ever ask about Wahida will tell you I ain't never done no crack a day in my life. I'm not saying I'm a perfect mother, but I'm a perfect mother in the sense that I do what every other mother in this world do. Every parent does, our best. And so long as you give 110% of yourself, that's all the world can ask for.
I'm getting tired of people trying to say that parents are bad because they don't know what they're doing because they're brand new. Of course they don't know what they're doing because they're brand new. Nobody's child is the exact same. I'm sorry, but yes, the books can sit there and help you. The books can give you a direction.
Sorry,
You're fine. The books can give you a direction and tell you which direction you need to go in, but they can't tell you exactly how to raise your child. So the fact that DCF is saying, "Oh, all these parents are out here are bad because they don't know how to raise a child," DCF can't even raise a child, and they have millions in the system, and millions of them have basically gone down the wrong path.
you're taking children that don't need to be taken, that a mother may need some help. Go look back around the time of, I want to say 2000, what it would be, 4? Actually 2005 in New York. And listen to how many children had died. I was pregnant with my son, and I listened to a child die almost every day. And my son I was pregnant with him in 2006. I'm not out here killing my children. I'm not out here beating on my children. They're not being mistreated. Nothing is happening to them. And when I called for some help out here to the news, because I smoked some weed, which is now becoming legal in every flipping state, I became a bad mother and nobody wanted to help me. I had a social service worker come in my house, open up my closet door, find their father there who pulled himself out of the case. Not because he was a bad father, but because he smoked weed and they knew they was going to try to take him. You came and you ripped my sons out of my home on a weekend after them only being there for a week. Brought me into court and proceeded to tell me that the reason why we was doing a jury trial was to see if we should restart the case for another 3 flipping years. And as a mother, all I could think is my sons need to settle. They're tired. My daughters you took away because at 19, when my child died, my third daughter died, I was lost for a minute. You people have had me, and look at how screwed up I became. So how can you sit down and say that y'all are best for anybody? What's so sad is I'm not even saying social services isn't needed, but make it needed for the right children. Stop taking all these children in this world that don't need to be taken. You got four of my boys. One's feeling lonely, he's left alone and depressed because you took the other brother that he was with and decided to put him in boarding school because he started running with gangs by y'all choice. After you changed his name at 9 years old. My other 13-year-old son is running with gangs. My other son is lost and wasn't none of these children going down that track. My sons were straight A intelligent students who, if you bother to listen to them, would tell you so. My son, who is now sitting in boarding school, let me know that he didn't even know that we were poor because of how hard I worked to give them a happy life. And now I have my 18-year-old here.
19.
Excuse me, 19. I'm sorry. She gets so mad at me, y'all. My 19-year-old daughter here, who didn't even want to talk to me because the state made them believe that I was abusive and on crack. I ain't never did crack a day in my life. And I'll pee for anybody, and I'll give you anybody's number to go ask. I'm not perfect, but I'm a mother. The world isn't perfect. We all make mistakes. We all fall short. We all gotta learn. But I was as old as she was when they took him from me.
And it wasn't like they waited a day. No, the second my baby sister passed away, me and my older sister was supposed to have a visitation with my mother. And they sat there and took us away. Instead of letting her cope with her other two children and trying to keep them closer to her. No, they ripped us right out and called it a day. Said she was a bad mother just because of she couldn't do anything to save her own child from SIDS.
And I want to say there's some bad foster parents out there, but I have ran into some good ones. Thank God. I've ran into some really good people in this life. Some good social workers and some good foster parents. But there's not enough to stop our children, not the government's children, our children, the ones that are supposed to make tomorrow better. Mm-hmm. Every parent out here is a victim and don't even realize it because you don't make enough money, because you don't do what the government prescribes to. But let me tell you something. I've been in multiple parenting classes, and if I ain't a good mother by now, and I graduated from every one, is that me or is that you? I have walked so much pain in this life. It's ridiculous, and my children are walking it now, and I'm doing everything in my power to stop them. But I don't have no power once you take my children away. I'm sitting on my phone today, listening to how a child in foster care hung herself. And instead of the social workers taking responsibility for watching this child decay, you found some way to put it back on the mother. Whether she's wrong or right, that child was in your custody. I was in your custody when I got pregnant at 16. I was in your custody when you decided to take my 21-year-old when she was a baby. So if you can't regulate me, and if you can't get children right, and almost every child that goes into foster care comes out screwed up, then obviously you must not have the answer. And again, I want to say, it's not that I believe the social services isn't needed. What I believe is that you need to be right. It shouldn't be that somebody can just pick up a phone, make a charge, or a social worker burnt out with too many cases. They got 500 cases, and each case got 2 to 4 or more children. Be the ones to decide how somebody fresh out of college ain't never had a children in their life because they read a book is supposed to be a parent. Parent don't work like that, or we would all be good parents. My sons are sitting in foster care or adopted to adoptive parents that really don't care what happens to them. And if you want to know all my children's age, 21 or about to be 21, 19, 17, 14, 13, and 12. And all of their lives got messed up the moment social services came along and took them from me. And to make me look bad, they told my children I was abusing them on crack. And then in Texas, 2 of the therapists got fired because they proved that I wasn't a bad mother and I didn't abuse my sons, but because they wouldn't write on some paperwork that I was a horrible person, they got them fired. I called the news to get some help because they went in my house. And I called the Chamber of Commerce. I called the ones that ran social services and found out that legally a social worker cannot go through your house without your permission because they are still a government lawyer. They dug in my house, did all of this, ripped my children out, destroyed my sons, destroyed my daughters, destroyed me. Me. And now because you did that, you have literally told me on more than one occasion that anytime a child goes into social services, it takes that much effort to get their child too. Y'all are paying for this. Y'all are paying for my children to be in foster care that don't need to be there.
You got parents who playing chicken with their children, their 2-year-olds. You're playing chicken with the 2-year-old while you in a car, and they still get to keep their children. But you're playing chicken with your 2-year-old, and you're in a car. She passed away. She got hit, passed away. But the mother got to keep her other child. But a mother who, for instance, my grandmother didn't have mattresses for my aunts and my uncles and my mother. They got taken away because she didn't have no mattresses.
When you could have gave us some mattresses.
You have parents who just who fell into a rough time, maybe got laid off and lost their homes with their child, and they're trying to keep them in. They're trying to keep a roof over their head and go into shelters, but instead of helping them find a place or a job at least to go and start their life over again, you snatch away their children as if it was their fault, as if this economy isn't already crap. America owes so much money to everywhere. It's not impossible that people will get fired and not be able to come back up from it sometimes. It's hard. It's so hard to find a job out here, and I'm 19. I mean, I should be able to find a job easily. I mean, at least not a major career, but any side job. I should be able to get into McDonald's or Burger King or go into the restaurant business, something of the sorts. But I can't do that because it's so hard.
And if you pull my record, you will see that I got pregnant in foster care. Not in my mother's house, in foster care. My daughter is 21 years old. I'm 38. I was in foster care when I got pregnant. Not sitting in my mother's house. In foster care. She's 19. I'm 38. I reiterate. I was a baby. Tell me what parent can hold their dead child and mine not be messed up. It doesn't happen. And instead of these people trying to give me some therapy and help me out and help me to get right, you ripped my children from me and then proceeded to lie. As my children have been beat and molested and raped and mistreated and told them they ain't no good, told them they ran down. All of this in foster care. Me and my daughter's not making this video because we want y'all to come save us. What we want y'all to do is save whatever other children are out there. Or I'm going to go get my sons. Because I got my daughters back. And now there's nothing the state can do. But before that, my sons have to be messed up. And y'all have more criminals.
Come on.
I'm going to go get my sons. I'm making this video for every child that can't speak for themselves. For every parent who's too scared because they're trying to hold on to whatever little bit that they got to see their children.
Because they'll be threatened.
This social service stuff ain't right. It's not right. And I'm telling you from a child to a parent. I've been dealing with these people since I was an infant. And I'm 38 years old. My mother wasn't a bad mother. She played games with us. She read to us. She educated us. I'm 38 years old and I'm talking to you like I've been in school my entire life. And the reality of it is, I dropped out of school in 7th grade. My mother gave me my knowledge, my understanding of life. My mother educated and taught me. And if you can find anybody who's ever been raised by my mother, and I'm not talking about her children. I'm talking about the group home that used to live next door to us when we was living in Alston, Brighton. I'm talking about her being a neighborhood mom who took kids in when their mothers left them sitting on porch in the dead of winter, and she brought them in and fed them and made them feel loved. My mother wasn't a bad mother. But nobody cares about that. We sit down every day trying to figure out what's wrong with this world, when all the while we miss our most precious